Hello, and welcome back to the Healthspan Health Podcast. I'm Dr. Mike Hauman. Today, we begin a new three-part series on a subject that seems to appear everywhere right now, longevity. You've probably seen the advertisements, clinics promising to slow the aging process, laboratory panels measuring nearly every conceivable biological marker, DNA reports claiming to reveal your future health issues, biological age tests comparing your body's status with the number on your driver's license. And then there's peptides, hormone optimization, IV infusions, plasmapheresis, hyperbaric oxygen, cryotherapy, stem cell injections, and supplement stacks large enough to qualify as a second breakfast. Some of these suggestions may be scientifically sound, some medically useful for certain individuals, some are promising but still experimental. Some are just expensive illusions wrapped in impressive language and modern technology. So how do we separate faithful stewardship from fearful stress, science from salesmanship, lifestyle management from longevity mirage, or true health and wellness from our culture's growing obsession with remaining young? Well, that is what this series is all about. Today, we will reveal the details. We'll define lifespan and health span, examine what modern longevity medicine gets right, expose where marketing runs ahead of current best practice evidence, and place the entire discussion under the authority of Scripture. Because the important question is not simply, how long can I remain alive? Best question is, how can I faithfully care for the life that God has given me, so I can remain available for His purposes for as many of my days as possible? That, my friend, is a very different goal. Are you ready to thrive with purpose? It begins with thinking wisely. Let's go.
Welcome to the Healthspan Health Podcast, where science meets soul. Your host for this program is Dr. Mike Hauman, an experienced physician, a certified functional medicine provider, a certified insight coach practitioner, and a devoted follower of Jesus Christ. If you're tired of feeling stressed out, exhausted, overwhelmed, or stuck in survival mode, you're in the right place. So take a deep breath. Let's be transformed by the renewing of our minds. Here's Dr. Mike.
Imagine for a moment that your life is represented by your car. Lifespan is the odometer. It tells you how many miles your vehicle has traveled. Health span is the condition of your vehicle during those miles. It's more like functional capacity. Can it accelerate normally, brake safely, reliably start, and work without difficulty? Or does it spend its final years in the repair shop with the dashboard lit up like a Christmas tree? The modern longevity industry often focuses only on the odometer, but Healthspan asks something far more practical. How long can you remain independently mobile, mentally clear, emotionally resilient, relationally connected, spiritually engaged, and physically capable of participating meaningfully in your own life? Lifespan is how long you live. Healthspan is how long you live well, with useful function and a reasonable freedom from serious disease and disability. And that difference can be profound. A major recent global analysis examined 183 countries found that the average gap between lifespan and health span has widened to about 9.6 years. In other words, people are living longer. Many are also spending close to a decade living with significant disease, disability, and declining function. That does not mean that those years lack value. A person's worth in God's economy never depends on physical strength, independence, productivity, mental acuity, or the ability to care for oneself. The image of God is not erased by a wheelchair or any other disability. It is not reduced by dementia. It's not diminished by frailty. Human dignity does not expire when a person's body becomes dependent on others. However, it is still wise to prevent avoidable diseases, delay disability, preserve bodily function, and reduce unnecessary suffering. That is the goal behind what is called the compression of morbidity. It simply means delaying the onset of significant illness and disability so that the period of decline occupies a smaller portion of life. Picture for a moment two people both live to the age of 85. One develops serious chronic disease at 65 and spends 20 years with limited function. The other remains active and independent until 82 and then experiences a shorter period of decline. Their lifespan is the same. Their health span is very different. That second person is what most people mean when they say they want longevity. They do not merely want more birthdays. They want to remember their grandchildren, serve their church, travel with their spouse, walk without fear of falling, think clearly, remain useful, finish their days with meaning and purpose. Friend, that desire is good. Problem begins when a good desire becomes a controlling fear. Modern medicine has made remarkable progress in understanding the biology of aging. Researchers have identified interconnected processes often called the hallmarks of aging. These include changes in DNA stability, cellular repair, protein quality control, nutrient sensing, inflammation, the microbiome, stem cell function, cellular senescence, and mitochondrial health. You do not need to memorize the list, but if it helps, think of your body as a city. DNA is the library of the building plans. Your mitochondria are the power stations. Your immune cells are the first responders. Autophagy and other cellular cleanup systems are sanitation and recycling. Your stem cells are the repair crew. Hormonal and nervous system signals are communication networks. Aging affects all of these. Power stations become less efficient, repair crews become slower, communication becomes less clear, waste removal loses its efficiency, damaged cells are not repaired or replaced as effectively, the fires of inflammation continue to smolder and do not go out as easily. The field known as geroscience seeks to determine whether modifying these shared processes can delay several age-related diseases at once. It asks the question, can we identify and address the underlying mechanisms rather than waiting to treat, say, heart disease, diabetes, cancer, dementia, and frailty all at the same time? But here's where we need discernment. A plausible theoretical mechanism is not the same as a proven effective universal treatment. A change in a specific laboratory marker does not automatically translate into a meaningful improvement in your life or your functional outcome. Success in a controlled laboratory experiment on a worm, a mouse, or a cultured cell is not the same as success in a human being. And the treatment that changes your biological age score does not necessarily prove that it will help you live longer, avoid disability, think more clearly, or remain independent. There's often a Grand Canyon-sized chasm between stating, this study shows that X influences a pathway associated with aging, and this study proves that X will help a healthy person live longer and maintain better function. Marketing tends to cross that chasm in one step. Good science and integrity do not. Let's consider biological age testing, for example. These tests analyze DNA methylation, proteins, blood chemistry, inflammation, telomeres, and other biological markers. Some are useful research tools that actually help scientists study risks or observe changes in aging-related patterns. But that does not make every commercial test clinically useful for every individual. A report may say that you're biologically 5 years younger than your chronological age. Now, that may be encouraging, but it may simply confirm that the habits you already practice are working. Or it may say that you're 7 years older than expected. Well, now what? Will the result change your actual medical treatment? Does it identify a treatable disease? Does it tell you which intervention will improve an outcome that matters most? Can the score be reliably repeated? And if three separate such reports give you three different ages, which birthday cake are you supposed to buy? Now, I have used some of these tests in the past. I find them interesting, but in practice, I've not found them especially actionable. For many people, they're nothing more than an expensive curiosity. They generate a number without providing a user with a clear, validated path towards better clinical decision-making or an improved health outcome. The same caution applies to broad DNA testing. Genetic information can be valuable when it answers a focused question or guides a specific medical decision. But your DNA is not a fixed prophecy, as some platforms may try to push. Most chronic disease emerges from an interaction among genes, environment, behavior, stress, and time. A DNA risk variant is not a sentence of doom. And a favorable variant is not permission to neglect wise choices either. So let's briefly address some of the more common longevity treatments being promoted today. Things like peptides, hormone optimization, IV nutrient therapy, NAD infusions, plasma exchange, hyperbaric oxygen, whole body cryotherapy, and stem cell injection. Each deserves a careful separate conversation, and several have legitimate medical uses. Hormone replacement may treat a documented deficiency, for example. IV therapy can be life-saving in many medical illnesses. Plasma exchange, hyperbaric oxygen, and stem cell transplantation are established treatments for selected, clearly defined conditions. But using a therapy appropriately for a defined disease is not the same as offering that same therapy to healthy people as a proven way to reverse aging. Question is not merely, can this treatment help someone? It is, has it demonstrated meaningful net benefit in similar people for this purpose at this dose with an acceptable risk profile? Many peptides sold for recovery, body composition, or anti-aging remain unproven and inadequately studied. I will address the subject of peptides in a future series. Pushing hormones towards a youthful target is not automatically healthy unless a pure deficiency is being treated. Fusions and plasma exchange may change blood markers without actually improving Healthspan. Hyperbaric oxygen and cryotherapy are not universal anti-aging tools, and many commercially promoted stem cell products have not been proven safe or effective for the broad conditions that they claim to treat. A white coat on a provider does not convert uncertainty into evidence. A luxury clinic cannot turn its experiment into a universal standard of care. And a high price does not guarantee a high quality outcome. So how should you evaluate any longevity claim? Well, here are 5 questions that you can ask. First, what outcome was actually measured? Was it lifespan, disability-free survival, strength, walking speed, cognition, hospitalization frequency, quality of life, or a laboratory marker that might possibly be associated with aging? Second, was the evidence gathered in people like me? Was it studied in human beings or laboratory animals? Healthy adults or people with a specific disease condition? Third, what are the known risks? Consider the intended effect, side effects, interactions, and the requirements of treatment. Fourth, what is the opportunity cost? If you spend thousands of dollars on testing and infusions, what are you not doing with those resources? Are you neglecting sleep, skipping strength training, eating poorly, remaining socially isolated, ignoring your existing hypertension, or avoiding your needed colonoscopy? Friend, no longevity treatment can compensate for a life that avoids healthy lifestyle choice. Fifth, does this intervention help you live your calling, or has staying young become your calling? That question takes us directly to Scripture. Psalm 139:16 says, "Your eyes saw my unformed substance. In your book were written, every one of them, the days that were formed for me, when as yet there was none. Friend, your days are not hidden from God. He's not surprised by your birthday each year. He's not anxious about your aging. And he does not need a concierge clinic to keep his sovereign plan on schedule. That truth should not make us passive. It should make us peaceful. God's sovereignty is not permission for powerless passivity. It is freedom from panic in the pursuit of personal peace. True, we treat illness, control risk factors, exercise, eat wisely, and seek skilled medical care. But we do not do these things because we believe disciplined decisions can make us immortal. We do them because stewardship is an act of gratitude to our wise Creator. Just think for a moment of Moses as reported in Deuteronomy 34:7, which states, Moses was 120 years old when he died. His eye was undimmed and his vigor unabated. My friend, by any metric, that is a remarkable health span. That same man wrote in Psalm 90:12, so teach us to number our days, that we may get a heart of wisdom. Notice that Moses does not say, teach us to multiply our days at any cost. He asks God to help him rightly number them, to recognize their limits, to receive them as precious, and to live them wisely. There is an enormous difference between numbering your days rightly and worshiping the number of your days. I understand the temptation. For more than 35 years, I practiced medicine and surgery in a demanding environment. I measured my own usefulness by how much work I could carry, how many people I could help, how hard I could push myself, and how much I could fit into a day. For a long time, I treated my body as if faithful service required endless output. Eventually, stress and illness taught me what all of that striving could not. A body can be devoted and depleted at the same time. I came to understand that preserving my health was not about clinging to youth. It was about remaining fully available to the giver of life for his purposes. For me, that means available to love my family, to teach others, to encourage frightened or exhausted people, to do the work God placed in front of me with whatever time and whatever strength he provides. My definition of health and wellness changed. I was no longer merely the absence of disease or the ability to keep performing at an ever-increasing pace. It became the capacity to live today's calling with clarity, strength, peace, discipline, and dependence on God for his purposes. Friend, that is Healthspan through a biblical lens. Not invincibility, but availability. Not denial of aging, but faithfulness within it. Not endless independence, but the grace to give and receive care. Not defeating death by technology, but confidence in the one who already defeated death for all eternity. For the redeemed, death is not ultimately a biomedical problem waiting for a clever modern scientific solution. It is an enemy. Yes, Scripture calls it an enemy. 1 Corinthians 15:26 says, the last enemy to be destroyed is death. But death is a defeated enemy, already conquered by Christ. Our hope is not that we will figure out how to optimize ourselves forever in this temporal place that we now call home. Our hope is in the giver of abundant life beyond the grave. That does not make bodily health unimportant, but it puts bodily health in its proper perspective. The body is a gift to steward, not an idol to preserve. Youth is a season, not a moral achievement. And aging is not failure. It is a reminder of God's sovereignty. Friend, illness is not proof that you lack discipline, faith, knowledge, or the right longevity plan. You can pursue good health without making it your idol. You can train hard without believing strength makes you worthy. You can use tests wisely without expecting absolute certainty for your future wellness. You can receive medical care without surrendering your discernment. And you can age with courage because the length of your life is not the measure of its faithfulness. That reminds me of this quote from Jim Elliot, a missionary martyred at the age of 28 by those he came to serve. He said, "He is no fool who gives what he cannot keep to gain what he cannot lose." So here is your reveal practice for this week. I want you to complete a simple longevity motive inventory. Download the document from today's show notes or take a piece of paper and answer these 4 questions. First, what am I most afraid of as I grow older? Is it pain or dependence on others, dementia, becoming a burden, losing my usefulness, death itself? Name your fears honestly. Second, what do I hope having better health will allow me to do? Serve others, travel, care for my family, remain independent, enjoy relationships, or finish a project? Make your purpose specific. Third, which health tests, treatments, supplements, or technologies am I currently using or considering? For each one, write down the outcome you expect it to produce, not the marketing promises it offers, the actual measurable outcome anticipated. And fourth, which proven health habits or foundations am I tempted to neglect while searching for something more advanced? Meaningful movement, quality sleep, strength training, whole food nutrition, weight and stress management, my social relationships, prayer, Sabbath, preventative care. Don't use these questions and your answers to shame yourself. Use them to reveal what is really driving you into decision. Because fear here will make you a salesman's target. Wisdom will make you harder to manipulate. In the next episode, we'll look directly at what to stop and what to start. We will stop chasing immortality through unproven interventions and begin building a health span rooted in function, evidence, stewardship, and peace. We'll briefly review prescription geroprotective drugs and then discuss the current nutraceutical options I recommend. My friend, in all of this, your goal is not to become biologically impressive. Your goal is to become faithfully available, to care for the body that you've been given, to use the strength you have each day, prepare wisely for every tomorrow, and to trust the one who already holds every day you will ever live in his faithful hand. This is Dr. Mike Hauman with the Aslan Health Podcast. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe and follow so that you don't miss the next episode when we reset the modern longevity mindset and build a practical, evidence-based path forward towards a longer health span. Until next time, may the Lord teach you to number your days, give you wisdom to steward your body well, freedom from the fear of aging, and strength to remain available for every good work that he has prepared in advance for you to accomplish. Shalom, my friend. Until then.